Right, well we've got some doors today to pick up. I'm going to put these on the vehicle just to drive away, try and keep them safe. They look amazing. So we've had the frame painted and we're going to be using hinge blocks from Exmoor Trim. Now the reason we're using these, obviously it's to match all our hinges and the door handles. We've gone for Exmoor Trim all round. I really like the simple design of these. You can just see we've got the crest in there again. Now these come with all the gaskets you need, and they do also come with their own bolts. So even if you've got the old bolts, we're using the existing plate. This is the mounting bracket. So it's basically got two holes there with a plate which goes against the bulkhead, and then the top one with the washer goes against your windscreen. So we'll get these in place first, and then we'll go ahead and get the screen put in, because it's going to be easy for us to fit the new windscreen into the frame with it on the vehicle, because we've done it before off the vehicle. It wasn't quite as easy. Not only that, we're using the YRM windscreen seal, which is by far the best windscreen seal on the market. It's just as good as the genuine one, which is twice the price. So for 60 odd quid, this is definitely the windscreen rubber to use. So yeah, let's get this installed now. Right, this one here it feels like it's cross-threaded on the middle bolt. Now it could be because it's running up against the tube in the bulkhead, but it's not super happy, but it's going in. That might have cross-threaded a little tiny bit, but do you know what? It actually eased up. There we go. The best way to do this, or the only way you're going to be able to do this, is to actually mount your windscreen bracket on the windscreen first, and then pass the two bottom bolts through onto the windscreen bracket at the lower piece. Now, I would definitely recommend using some sort of copper slip grease, something in there, and just work your bolts into the threads on here before you do the final fit, just to make sure everything's cleared, there's no swarf. There shouldn't be, but it's just nice to know that the bolts are going to go all the way through before you actually fit it. But it's in place, it's really sturdy, and they look mint with the hinges on the door. So really pleased with that. So we're now ready to get the windscreen in. We're going to put a non-tinted windscreen in, and that is because the green tint won't match the grey tint on the doors. And we're also going for non-tint windows as well at the front, so it all blends in together. But yeah, we'll get that in tomorrow, and then I'll be good to go. Now, sometimes a product comes along that you think, why and how are they so expensive, and how on earth would anybody put those on their vehicle? But let me tell you, I just received these. Now, I just offered them up like this. These are from Exmoor Trim. I thought they look amazing. But you know what? I had it upside down. Look how incredible they look. What an amazing, amazing upgrade. It just looks so good. That has got to be worth every single penny. So these are machined out of a solid billet of aluminium. They're anodized, and they just look incredible. So they are going on both sides. If you ask me, Exmoor Trim are absolutely smashing it with their designs at the moment. So you can order these now from lrparts.net. They're brand new. We've got them in stock. They come in gunmetal grey, silver, and black anodized. Now, obviously, we've gone for the black anodized because it matches the hinges and everything else on the vehicle. Low profile. They don't sit above the wing. They just look just right. So we do have the side vent, but unfortunately I ordered silver by accident. So we'll wait for the black one to come in, and you'll just see what that looks like. I mean, would you like to see what this one looks like anyway? Yeah, go on, I would. Now we have to stick to our colour theme here with the black, but they do them in silver, and they do look epic. Not for us, but I think when the black one's on there, man, it's going to look good. Okay, so the last thing we're going to do on our build today is fit our rear NAS step. So this does come with all the bracketry you need to allow you or enable you to tow. However, these are an aftermarket product and they're not certified for towing. So you just need to be aware of that. Legally, technically, you know, you're not really supposed to be towing with these. So I will not be fitting the bracketry to enable you to tow with this, because I just don't want it for that purpose. I want it to look the part, you know, enable people, because we've got the rear seats, enable people to get into the back easily. But also I'm going to fit a recovery eye just to sort of make this look nice, but also give it a bit of a function rather than have it enabled for towing. Now these are super easy to fit. You've basically got these two big prongs either side, which I believe you bolt through from the back, yeah. So it is a solid bit of kit. You've obviously got all the additional mounting points up here. So I'm going to get it put on. It should look really nice. And I've also chosen the one with the rubber bumper. Now, the reason for that is I do like the way that the checker plate looks on some of these. You can get black and silver. Now, if we had silver detail on the vehicle, I'd probably go for a silver checker plate. The black, not so much, because I get a lot of traffic, and the black sort of checker plate does tend to wear pretty quick. The rubber doesn't, and also it's got more grip, and it is great for a step. So we have probably more nuts and bolts here than we need, and there are no instructions, which is handy. This bracketry probably weighs the same as the actual step itself. And these are all the support plates you get. There's no instructions in there that I can see. So it's probably quite a good little video to do, because if you haven't got the instructions, what are you going to do? Here we've got some plates. Now these are probably packer plates in case your rear cross member's not quite completely flat and the ends are sticking out a bit. So we can check that by offering this up. It's quite heavy, but it's not unmanageable. So we just use those two. And these are actually designed for a high lift jack, if you didn't know. So you can get an adapter for a high lift jack that goes straight into your rear cross member to lift the vehicle. It's quite handy. So we'll pop those in there. Right, so yeah, with that offered up, we've got at least 2 spaces worth on this side and 1.5 by the looks of things on the other side. So we might end up having to go, I don't think one's going to be enough. Obviously you can pull it in a bit. No. Okay, so we're going to need both spaces on both sides. So these will go in here. That's right. These tube spaces are designed for a longer bolt to pass through there. Only got one. And it's basically because there are 2 plates at the end. So in your rear cross member, it's a box section if you like, but there's no support inside these. So if you were to clamp it up super tight, they're basically going to squash together, and that whole front face and the back face, which might be a bit corroded, is going to squash together. So by putting these packing tubes in, will enable us to get a nice tight mounting point on there without collapsing the box section. So it's going to have to go in and across. I'm just going to take a little bit off there because I think that's going to make my job a lot easier. I've just taken those down a little bit and put some spray paint on there just to protect the metal. So we'll let those dry off, and then they should slide straight in. We should still be able to get everything we need slid underneath and around, I think, as long as we don't do it up too tight. So off with that up there. So these are actually all made here in the UK. So that's nice for supporting homemade product. That is the biggest one I've got to hand, and there's not a chance. Still not big enough. These, I think, need a 14mm hex. I don't have any 14mm bolts, but I do have a rusty 13mm. So I'm going to try and do it up with that. So if you've got a 14mm, it should work. Right, I can see it folding itself up onto the rear cross member, so I don't want to go too tight because I want to be able to get both my spaces in the back there. You can see, look. What we'll do, I haven't got my tube spacer in yet, but I'm going to put a bolt into there just to hold those spacers in place. It's a neat little idea, to be honest, because you just don't know how much your rear cross member is going to be out. Now, even if these packer spaces didn't go in the front and you put one in the front and one in the back, you're still going to have the same amount of distance, and these bolts, they're not long enough. They're only just reaching the edge of the rear cross member. So these are the bolts you get, these shoulder bolts, and they need to be that long, basically, which is a shame. But these are nice and stainless, so I guess every cloud. So that's in there, through the back. Even that's only just long enough, but it will work. So when your plate's in there, it sits with the flat tab at the top, whole tube spacer there, and then one at the bottom, which we're not using. So then I'm going to run it from the back to keep everything in place. There we go. So now I've got my tube spacer held in place, which frees up my hands for this. And get my spacers in there. Get my actual bolt. Push it through. There we go. Now it's important to get your front bolts in, these big ones first, because this is now compressing and pulling the plate into position. So if they weren't in, I think you'd find it hard to do it up. So because we don't have any instructions, I'm taking a guess that these recessed flat washers here are designed to sit in the back of your rear cross member into those prongs that are threaded just to keep everything extra secure. So I'm going to put a bit of copper slip on these now and then get them installed. So if we just go into the back here, you'll see where those bolts are mounted. So they go through there. Now I would say you should definitely check the thread on those, because this one over here had too much powder coat in and it was a bit of a struggle to get it in. So if you can tap your bolts through everything first, you know you're good. Apart from nipping everything up, we're basically in place. So you've got some additional brackets here for lights, which is quite cool. As I said, you can remove these bungs from here, so you can still use the high lift jack facility. We'll get ourselves a nice plate on the back here, and then we'll be all ready to button these up when we get the right hardware. So we are in luck. We have our side vent that's arrived already. Now these actually mount slightly differently to a regular vent. So you can see these little plastic points here. This is where your little pins on your plastic grill would normally recess and fit into. But these are actually going to replace the bolts on the actual intake housing through the wing. So we're going to remove these and try and keep it all in position still, and then we'll use the new bolts that they supply to get this mounted. So on our Puma, these are T15s. Now on these, they're not actually security screws, they're just a Torx 15 again. I think possibly I would have preferred to have had a security bolt or screw, just because of the cost of these. I'm already loving this. So we've now got the wing tops, side vent, windscreen clamp, and the hinges, not forgetting the door handles, all from Exmoor Trim. What an addition that is. Well, that just about wraps it up for today's episode. We've got a load of new kit on the 90 and it's looking amazing. That Exmoor Trim stuff really is setting apart the look of this vehicle. So the next episode on the 90 is going to be fitting the carpet set from Exmoor Trim. That will mean getting our bulkhead bar back in, adding some Dynamat, and then, with any luck, our seats should be on their way. We're a couple of weeks away from having the roof back from the painters, but when that goes on, there's a whole nother impact to the vehicle you're going to see. So, hope you're enjoying it so far. Please do like and subscribe, and if you want to give us a thumbs up, that'd be great, and I'll catch you on the next one.